We poured you a beer.
And we've had the camel shampooed.
And Bill's on his way down to open the front gate.
And we've turned on the lights.
And we've been rehearsing for over 40,000 years.
So where the bloody hell are you?
Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here.
Demonstrators in several cities, including Sydney and Melbourne, expressed solidarity with asylum seekers who are being kept in detention centres. They called on the government of Prime Minister Tony Abbott to end its controversial policies. Australian authorities send asylum seekers to offshore camps in Papua New Guinea and the Pacific territory of Nauru for detention and processing.
More than 2 months after Iranian asylum seeker Reza Barati was killed during riots at Manus Island Detention Centre, no one has been arrested or charged over his death.
The Immigration Minister isn't commenting on a Commonwealth Ombudsman's investigation into allegations asylum seekers have been mistreated on Nauru. 3 Iranians have told the ABC of their experiences on the island and conditions in the detention centre.
Protests have again flared at Darwin's immigration detention centre. Detainees are on the roof and refugee advocates are warning the unrest will continue while asylum seekers are stuck behind bars indefinitely.
We are asylum seekers. We just ran away from a lot of bad things. How long I'm going to stay here? 5 years? 6 years? No one knows. I feel that I'm living like animals. I feel I'm a prisoner. I wish I could be gone when I was free. We are looking for freedom, honesty, justice, and safety. That is all we are looking for.
A refugee can be defined as any person who is owing to a well-founded fear of being persecuted for reasons of race, religion, nationality, membership of a particular social group, or political opinion that is outside the country of his or her nationality and is unable, or owing to such fear, is willing to avail himself or herself to leave their own country in order to gain protection from that country. An asylum seeker is a person, a human being who sought out to leave their own country in order to gain protection. Leaving their country willingly was not a simple choice, but for the safety of their own life. An asylum seeker is a person who is claiming for refugee status but has not yet been processed. Asylum seekers are an important issue, as it is a recurring situation even in today's society. Asylum seekers are of absolute importance because they are human beings. Asylum seekers have the right, like any other human being in this world, and yet today asylum seekers and refugees are still being mistreated and misrepresented. Incorrect allegations of asylum seekers have solely come from the negativity the media portrays to the public for public viewing. If there were more asylum seekers that can be accepted to Australia and other countries, the better, because everyone and anyone has the right and deserves the right to live in a safe, well-established country. All asylum seekers deserve to be treated with respect and compassion, as they themselves can be a tremendous contribution to Australia and other countries. There are many kinds of cultures and countries that lead individuals to asylum seeking. Not only are these individuals adults, but also children. Thousands of individuals seek out and are known of becoming asylum seeker because they are in fear of their safety and their home country is in a hectic status. Many asylum seekers are individuals that come all across the globe. Most of the time, Australia tends to push the issue of asylum seekers and refugees under the carpet or imply false allegations of what is truly happening around the asylum seeker issue. The way in which asylum seekers get treated in Australia is the same for both adult and children: harsh, injustice and inhuman. All asylum seekers that illegally come to Australia all go through the same processing to determine their status. However, according to the Australian Human Rights Commission and the Asylum Seeker and Refugees Guide, it states that each policy that applies to a particular asylum seeker is now dependent upon the asylum seeker's arrival and the date in which they arrived. According to UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, 2012, the top 10 countries of origin where asylum seekers come from are Pakistan, Iran, Sri Lanka, Syria, Argentina, Albania, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, India, and Nigeria. The two most common arrivals of asylum seekers to Australia or any part of the world is formally known to be either boat or plane.
Just imagine taking a boat in a last-minute choice to travel for months to paradise. It's a dangerous journey, but you know it's worth it when you arrive. You know you and your family could live a fairy tale. Imagine travelling for such a long time in such a poor state of life, vomiting every day, facing hunger and thirst every day. Not everyone can live as long without the necessities of life, the stench of death constantly, the unknown dangers of the sea, the noises that keep you awake at night, the anxiety you might have to simply sink. You don't know if your family is okay. All you can do is pray. Pray you'll be reunited and have your happy ever after. Then something happens. Your boat finally reaches Australia, but soon enough you're turned away and it's not actually where you thought you were going. Officers pull you off the boat and shove you into this place that looks more like a prison. You struggle to understand their language, but eventually understand that you will have to be here for a while. You haven't spoken to your family. You don't know where you are. You feel so unsafe in a place so unfriendly, and your freedom is taken just like that. A year has passed. Nothing has changed. People are sick. People have died. You start to think that maybe you're getting somewhere. Maybe you won't be here forever. Maybe the government will listen. You start to think that maybe you will get your happily ever after. You'll finally get to see your family, and this whole ordeal that you've been through won't be for nothing. The thought almost makes you relieved. But sadly, that isn't the case for us. It's just not a happy ending.
A fortnight ago has sparked outrage over this notorious detention centre. And these are new photos of the aftermath. Unrest is common here. This is video supplied to Dateline. This protest occurred just weeks earlier. But detention centre staff aside, and with media banned, no one would have known about it.
Tuckfield argues that Australia has one of the strictest immigration detention systems in the world. Detention is mandatory for most asylum seekers' arrivals. Detention is not subject to a time limit, and asylum seekers arriving by boat are unable to access the courts to challenge their detention sentences. While asylum seekers and refugees are in Australian territory, the Australian government has obligations under various international treaties to ensure that their human rights are respected and protected. These treaties include the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, the Convention Against Torture and Other Cruelty, Inhumane or Degrading Treatment or Punishment, and the Convention on the Rights of the Child. A person fleeing persecution might travel without documentation to avoid being identified as they leave their country of origin in order to reduce the risk to themselves and their family. Under the Migration Act 1958, asylum seekers who arrive in Australia without a valid visa must be held in immigration detention centres until they are guaranteed a visa. There is no limit under Australian law to the length of time for which a person may be held in immigration detention. While the legal framework for mandatory detention remains in place, over the past few years, increasing numbers of asylum seekers have been permitted to reside in the community while their claims for protection are assessed.
Human rights is, geez, that's a good question.
Human rights. Oh, that's a tough one.
Wow.
I don't even know how to give that a definition.
I would probably have to do a little bit of homework or something.
Any right that I think just as a normal, human, any...
The rights that humans have?
Oh, that's a very large debate.
Tú le puedes preguntar a 20 personas y te van a dar 20 diferentes opiniones.
Non saprei, una domanda complicatissima.
Guess we just take them for granted that they're there, but we don't even consider what they are.
Human rights are the rights you have simply because you are human. Human rights are universal. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted by the United Nations on the 10th of December 1948, states that basic human rights and freedom apply to all people. If we, as human beings, are meant to be and all have equal human rights, then asylum seekers should have these rights too. Asylum seekers should be able to come to a safe country and not be sentenced to live in detention centres. If asylum seekers are going to be sent to live in these detention centres for an unknown period of time, legally this is unjust. There is no line or queue when someone's life and family are in danger. Human rights are more than just words on a piece of paper. It is the free thinking of individuals and the choices and responsibilities as individuals we make equally.
So who are we? We're just a bunch of students who want to help and make a difference to change this issue. Offshore detention centres should not be Australia's solution to this problem. There are ways you can help. Sign a petition. Write a letter to your local government. Create awareness in your society. It sounds so small, but it's the best we can do. We need to get these asylum seekers out of these offshore detention centres now and into better centres where they can be looked after properly. So help us. Make this your problem too.